Hello, people of YouTube. As you can see, we have ourselves a little bit of a problem. So I just bought this base. I made a video short a couple of days ago on it saying if you don't know what you're doing with the truss rod, leave it alone. And it turns out that the truss rod is probably pretty close to being maxed out. Now, I did immediately was like, all right, whatever. I didn't pay a whole lot of money for this base. I don't really feel like messing with it. Put it on Facebook Marketplace, say it needs work because it did, and go from there. So I initially also didn't have the correct wrench for this. So when I bought this, I did not have the correct truss rod wrench. I have had a metric set. I now have a standard set, but I only had the metric set. Metric set wasn't fitting. I didn't want to mess with it. I paid the price for it, took a chance, figure, why not? What could possibly go wrong? Got it home, plugged it in, electronics worked great, no issues there. Input jack was a little loose, went ahead and tightened that up. But I went ahead and sold it. And I made a couple bucks, not a lot, but a couple dollars. And the guy told me, hey, something's wrong with the truss rod, I want my money back. And there's two routes I could have taken. I could have been like, well, I said it needed work and had very high action, that's on you. Or I could give the guy his money back. So we settled with giving him the majority of his money back. I kept a couple bucks for my time, and he seemed to be happy with that. Now I have the base back, and now I'm in the base for slightly less money. Instead of posting it again, I figured, hey, let's make a video of it, trying to see if we can actually fix the thing. And I will make a part 2 if this actually works. If the process does not work, then I will just probably do a quick short video on it being like, hey, didn't work, selling the base, trying to get my money back. So something along those lines, because I have not had good luck with it jazz bases. So this is a Fender Mexican jazz bass. I know you can't tell because the neck's currently off of it. And I'm keeping the strings because the strings seem fine to me, so no reason to get rid of them. And the first one I got was a P bass. And I didn't like the feel of the neck because a P bass, if you're not familiar with the neck, is kind of uniform. It's not narrower at the nut and it doesn't widen up towards the 12th fret. It's kind of all the same. Didn't care for that. And it also had a very weird rattling noise that I could not figure out what it was. So I traded that for a jazz bass of the same exact year and mentioned all of this. It might have been old strings. There's a very good possibility it had old crappy strings. And that jazz bass, which was the same exact year, same exact color as this, I think it was a 92. This is the 2008 or 2009, based on the serial number. And the jazz bass had that same weird rattly problem. And I couldn't stand it. I mentioned it yet again in the description. When I sold it, it came with a nice hard shell case. I should have kept that hard shell case, I'll be honest with you. But I got a decent price for it when I sold it. And then I found this one and I said very high action. Price was decent, and now I have a third one, and I'm 0 for 3 with Fender basses, with Fender Mexican basses. Maybe it's time I try to get a Squier. The Thunderbird back there has been holding up pretty solid. The action could be lower. I probably do have to shim the neck if I want the action lower on that bass, which I have done on the Fender behind me. I had to shim the neck on that a little bit. Initially, I thought this was a neck shim situation. I tried that. Didn't fix the issue. I've had the neck on and off of this thing like 3 times. So we're going to go ahead and pan to me actually having the bass all clamped up. And then we will go ahead and pan back to me for the end of the video. The video I am using as a reference to attempt to do this. I am also going to try to link that in the description down below because it seems very helpful. The guy actually responded to a comment I had, and I will mention that comment at the end of the video. So here is the bass neck in all of its glory, all clamped up here. As you can see, I have 2 clamps on it, just because I wasn't sure if this was doing enough, but not enough to, shouldn't be not enough tension to hurt anything. I have a little bit of a forward bow, which is what I want it to be, because when it gets back up to string tension, then it's going to be bending the opposite direction, which is perfectly fine. So as you can see, I have some towels here on the neck, so I'm not hurting anything. Over here too, this is just a couple of blocks of wood that I found, a couple pieces of scrap wood lying around. For the washer, so this is what I used for the washers. I cut the end of this off, but I don't think it's doing anything. I'm not sure if it is or isn't, because I have the truss rod, which you can't even really see. It's tightened down as tight as it can be, and that's what you want to do when you are doing this. From the original video that I saw, I'll try to link that original video in the description too. I took off all the tuners because they were getting in the way as well. and I'm hoping that this bends it back to a usable shape, at least. I'm thinking maybe if this wasn't the right size, it just kind of pushed them further down the truss rod and didn't actually stop the truss rod from turning. So if this doesn't work, I'm going to give this probably another 24 hours or so. And then see what happens. So initially, I had this listed on Facebook Marketplace for some money, and I said it needs work because initially I did not have the correct truss rod wrench size to adjust the truss rod. I had millimeters. I didn't have any American standard, I think is what they call it, metric versus standard. Didn't have a standard set. So I went ahead and bought one of those to try to do this, because if I can get this to work and it, significantly lowers the action on the base, then at this point I don't have to replace the neck. It cost a couple $100s to replace the neck. And I was listing it for a couple $100 below what I thought it should be, because if I figured, if it is a serious problem, someone can just replace the neck for a couple $100. Not a big deal. But if I can get this to actually work and function properly, then at this point I can probably get, add $200 to my asking price. The tuners are all fine. Everything works fine. All the body is fine. All the electronics work correctly. It's just that the neck had such a bad back bow in it. And, the truss rod functions, it turns, but you max it out and it ain't doing enough. So at this point, you got to try to get the wood back. I have seen some videos where they try to use a heat press in addition to clamps. I figure, wooden clamp on wood, less chance of be hurting something. This is 24 hours after the fact, and it still isn't perfectly straight. I'm not going to unclamp it because I already did. We're going to give this an additional 24 hours. If it's still not doing anything, I think I'm going to take the nut off and see what is going on with the washers. Because I can't even, here, I'll show you. So I can't put the truss rod in like this way. I have to put it in this way, lengthwise, because I have tightened it down so far down the neck that I'm bottoming out the wrench, which normally you would not do. So that is what is leading me to believe that my makeshift washers aren't doing anything. So that's my next step, is we'll see if this does anything. I'm crossing my fingers and hoping it does. If not, we'll take the nut back out again. And the nut, it's perfectly fine. You go as tight as it can go and then you stop. You don't keep going. Once it's super tight, stop, because you can either strip it, you can break it. You don't want to do that, especially for the next person. There is a possibility I could theoretically replace the truss rod in this. A truss rod doesn't cost that much money, but involves you drilling out this one. Putting in a new anchor point down here, where I'm confused on the Mexican necks, because there's not, this is like a gap right here. There's nothing here. So I'm guessing maybe they're just using the actual wood itself as an anchor point as opposed to metal, because I do typically see metal, but I've looked up other Mexican necks and it's the same thing. So same exact process. They kind of got this, sometimes the stickers over here and there's a bigger gap, but the skunk stripe, I think it's rosewood or walnut, whatever it is, does not go all the way down. All right, we are back at it. So the comment that I made on the original guy's video, for those of you wondering, is I wanted to know, how long do we keep the thing in the clamps? And he specified that it could be a 24-hour thing, it could be a week thing. It's kind of who knows. Essentially, you unscrew the nut, you put the washers down the hole, you slightly tighten the truss rod back on, you clamp it down, you tighten the truss rod up as tight as it can go, and then hope for the best. It worked in his video. I'm hoping it works for me too. As I mentioned previously, I might have not been using the correct washers, or, it wasn't really an actual washer. It was a car part that fit the hole, so we tried doing that to see if it worked, and we'll see if it works. So there will be, as I said, I will do a part 2 or a short, probably in the next couple of days. Thursday is your guitar picks in the guitar video, as always. I do shorts 5 times a week, and I do long videos like this twice a week. So if you're interested in my schedule, Tuesday's a long video, Saturday's a long video, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, those are all shorts, and typically around a minute in length. So if I don't fix it, you're getting a short. If I do fix it, maybe I'll give you a demo of me playing it. But either way, I will give you an update onto what happens. and let's just see if the process works. Until next time, hit that notification bell, subscribe, like, share, comment what y'all want to see for future guitar and music related content, and until next time, as always, have a good one. Ouch.